So I found myself in a stage of life where I'm truly living the dream. And let me tell you the reality of this and if it was worth chasing, and some reflections and lessons I've had now that I've made it to that point. So for the last few weeks, I think maybe 5 to 6 weeks now, I've been on the road. I've been doing a Europe tour from London to around Italy, Capri and Positano. And then now I found myself in Spain for the second time this summer, living the island life, living the beach life, the mountain life, golf courses, everything beautiful, and having the supercars, driving around in a drop top Porsche, living the dream, having private boats and like everything you can imagine. And I've spent close to $100,000. And I want to explain my reflections because it's important, because I know when I was in my earlier years in my career and when I was in my youth, teens and early 20s, I know this is what I would have watched a video about and said, that's going to be me one day and it's going to be the best feeling ever. Let me tell you how it really is. Neuroplasticity, which is a strong trait you need to build for yourself. Look into what neuroplasticity is. Neuroplasticity is not something people speak about. You speak about how can it be strong, resilient, patient, motivated, determined, disciplined. But what about neuroplasticity? This is something that is when you have your normal patterns. For example, people say that you live the same day again and again because you will have thousands of thoughts a day, and 99% of those thoughts that I had today were the same as my yesterday, same as the day before, same as the day before, because the mind is an echo chamber. And more importantly, the mind can be misleading because if I have a belief on something, I will only look at things around me that confirm my belief. If I believe that I'm an unlucky person, and then I stub my toe on the door, see, I'm an unlucky person. I go down for breakfast and it's closed because I thought it closed at 11, it's at 10:30. Oh, look how unlucky I am. And then when I do have a bit of luck, like the weather app said it was going to rain, it's not raining today. I don't think, oh, I'm lucky. I just think it is what it is. The brain is always going to look to prove itself right and strengthen its own existing neural pathways. So therefore, you will end up in an echo chamber where what you believe is proven even more and more and more. So you get more polarized in your beliefs and you get away from what you don't believe, which is fine if you're believing in something that's true. But if you're not believing in something that's true, you've got a confirmational bias. Basically, you've got a bias. Then there's many biases: survivorship bias, confirmational bias, and so on. There's like 20 biases that we'll have. I will ignore things that are true to affirm my own beliefs. And therefore, you have no neuroplasticity, you have neurorigidity. Coming into a new environment, which I've done very often, and often on these trips I document it, where I'll go out to a place. I remember I made one of these unfiltered videos when I was last in Bali. I'm just going to check we're still recording. Yes. When I was last in Bali, I sat down, I did a retreat for myself where I got a beautiful villa. It had a sauna, it had a cold plunge, I had a chef, and I just escaped to that villa and I didn't touch my phone. I read books, I ate good, I worked out, and I got sun in, and I thought. And and I do this very often. You guys know this about me. When I go into this isolation mode, the purpose is neuroplasticity, because when you go to a new environment, away from your day-to-day thoughts, day-to-day pressures, and you're in a new space, in that new space with different shades of blue sky, different shades of green behind me, different food, different people I speak to, different culture, different everything. Everything's different when you go to a new location. And in this situation, I'm left with nothing but reflections on my own thoughts, and it's important because I start to observe what comes to the surface. What thoughts keep repeating themselves? And I realize, because you know this, humans, we just get thrown thoughts in our mind. They're coming from our mind, but I feel like we're just throwing things at us, like whether it's random anxieties, random goals, random, oh crap, I got to do this, random stress, like we get hit with things. And I start to notice, what am I getting hit with often? And this is going to give me a calling of like, okay, if this is something that keeps coming to my mind, maybe I should look into it. Maybe I should chase that over the other things. Maybe this is a real goal for me. Your subconscious is absorbing constantly like a sponge, and it's trying to push it into your consciousness in various ways, whether it's anxiety, stress, ideas, emotions, and these all develop into your behaviors, whether you want to or not. Your inputs synthesize into emotions, which synthesize into thought, which synthesize into action. This is what humans are. We synthesize inputs to outputs. So if you don't go through and cleanse your inputs or understand the synthesizing portion, cleanse your inputs for sure, and then synthesize and understand what's going on, and then attack it and output with intention. This is the purpose of these retreats. The input quality, of course, I've spoken about. This is like number one rule in life and entrepreneurship or success or trading, whatever it is, in pursuit of anything. You need to clean your inputs, because a lot of people try and add into their life. Well, Wakara said he's running every day. I'm going to do that. Wakara said he's eating clean. Going to do that. Wakara said he's going for walks and slow mornings, and then you can add. And it's like, it gets very burdensome when you try and do a monk mode life or a Mr. Frisella's 75 hard protocol, and it's like, I'm going to read 2 pages a day, I'm going to cold plunge, and I'm going to do a morning routine, and I'm going to dopamine detox, and I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Like, okay, great. But when you add 1,000 things that you need to do, you're not doing your to-do list. And you're not also thinking clearly, in my opinion, because you're not thinking with intention. You're just going on autopilot on your routine and productivity hacks. What is more important is to clean your inputs to therefore synthesize better. You have to eliminate. Before you add, you have to subtract. What this means is, think of it someone financially. If you want to make 100K, and if you're not a zero, you're in debt. You're minus 100K. What are these minus 100K? Because forget trying to get to 100K positive. How about you just get back to break even? Get out of debt. These debts we all have to extreme degrees because of the world we live in. Hyper distracted. If you watch short form content continuously, your brain and your dopamine receptors are fried. It's not just like you waste 20 minutes or 2 hours. It's the fact that your mechanism of dopamine, the neurotransmitter, the neurotransmitter that is dopamine, is there for motivation and is there upon achievement. So when you go through struggle or you go through pursuit and then you achieve a goal, you get a dopamine rush to then be a positive feedback loop to do it again and again. If you're getting that rush from scrolling to refresh to see what's going to happen and then see what you get delivered, and then laughing or entertainment, whatever, dopamine, cheap dopamine is an issue. Cheap dopamine comes from music, comes from scrolling, comes from movies, comes from video games, comes from dopamine and food, comes from all forms that don't improve your situation. Rather, they deteriorate your receptors, they keep you distracted, they keep you in pursuit of the wrong thing, that is music and movies and reality TV. It keeps you chasing hedonism. And then also bad food and etc. That deteriorates your health. Staying up late at night playing video games deteriorates your quality of sleep. These are all subtractions. You need to get out of all these habits. Stop drinking, stop smoking, stop eating unhealthy, which I've been fixing up on lately. You take yourself out of debt before you even consider, okay, let me add reading. Let me add a morning routine. Forget all the adding. First, get rid of that. And this portions away for me, time away from a normal routine, is a accelerator. It's a boot camp to really subtract as much as possible. A reflection for me here was, okay, yes, I'm living the life. I have a lot of, as I mentioned, presence, peace, pleasure. And these are all things that happen when you go on vacation and see new environments. And new environments lead to new emotions because it's new thoughts, because it's new inputs, and you have new creativity, you have new serendipity, you have new conversations, you have new ideas, and therefore you can now enter the next sprint in your life, the next season, which will be a new sprint with new intention, new action, new energy, and this is important. We shouldn't be someone as a trader or entrepreneur that is just go, 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 go. It should be sprint, rest. Because when you sprint, things are not linear, they're exponential, because things come together. Everything combines and flows, and it's double the work doesn't equal double the output, equals quadruple the output because of exponential gains. And I'm a firm believer that if you're not growing, you're dying. And I want you to remember this, because someone said this to me, a good friend of mine, Axel, shout out my guy. He said this to me back in like 2020 or 2021, and it's stuck with me ever since. It's like, well, if you're not growing, you're dying. So there's no such thing as plateau or consolidating. It's like, I'm either getting better or getting worse. So then you live in a day-to-day basis of like, okay, what am I doing today? Am I living or dying? Am I growing or dying? And for me, this trip has been dying. I haven't been productive. I haven't been doing. Yes, the team has been doing things. Yes, I've used leverage, but I wasn't growing. And what I realized is, although this is living the life and it's peaceful and it's pleasure and it's the dream and it's what I would have loved to have seen myself doing as a younger man, what I realized is something was missing. Pleasure, yes. Presence, yes. Peace, yes. I feel a lot of peace. My Whoop band has been telling me my stress is at an all-time low, but peace in its entirety, I can't say so. The reason for that is because peace, I believe, complete peace, specifically for a man, comes from our evolutionary or instinct, which is to hunt. We, by design, by creation, are there to pursue and to hunt men. And therefore, in this day and age, we don't have to hunt food because we can get that, but we have to hunt nonetheless. And fulfillment is something that is so ambiguous and hard to grasp onto, but it's not happiness. Happiness and pleasure and fulfillment are different. Pleasure is temporary and it can be bought. Happiness is temporary and it can be bought or lived. Happiness with your friends, family, and through experiences or items, material. Happiness and pleasure can be bought and lived. Fulfillment, it's a little bit less tangible, but fulfillment is an everlasting state. If you are a fulfilled person, you can be fulfilled and unhappy. You can be fulfilled and uncomfortable, because when you are in the gym and you're struggling and you're going through pain, you feel fulfilled, especially at the end of it, because you know you did something positive. So fulfillment this month went down for me because I felt peace, I felt pleasure, I felt presence, but I didn't feel peace in its entirety because I was missing fulfillment. So I wondered to myself, because I started to get an itch. I was like, I'm having a great time, but I want to get back into the trenches. I want to get active again. It's because fulfillment comes from pursuit, and pursuit means growth, not death. And therefore, I basically realized I need to get back into the trenches. And regardless of, I could retire now. I'm never going to, because I don't have this complete level of fulfillment. Fulfillment changes, and it's just important to reflect. Are you busy and working and doing for someone else's dream, for someone else's goals? Because that's not going to bring you true fulfillment. It's going to bring you progress, like I got a pay rise, I got a promotion, this job enabled me to take care of my family. This is going to bring you fulfillment, sure, but complete fulfillment and therefore complete peace can only come from pursuit and chasing and growing your own vision and empire, your own. Even if you're busy working for someone else, yes, you can have forms of fulfillment, but it will never be to its own extent when you do it for yourself. And I'm not talking about monetary. Monetary, for me at least, was solved a long time ago. Fulfillment comes with growing things that are cool for you. For me, that is a form of giving back, a form of sharing value, sharing these videos, my experiences, building a community online of people that ride with me, rock with my opinions, that appreciate and respect the things that I do for them, and then also the things I get to receive in return of, Waqar, I did XYZ because of you. Someone commented it's a pinned comment on a recent video. He got $300,000 in funding and a $30K payout at a young age, and he's never paid me a penny. It's just watch the content online. This is epic. And when I build a podcast and I travel the world and I meet the coolest of people, the brightest minds in our industry, and I get to be at the forefront of what's going on, and I'm in a unique position. There's not many people that have spoken to all the people that I've spoken to, or the level of people, and had the depth of conversations and have the phone book and the contact list that I do because of the podcast and network. This is epic for me. The ability to, I don't know how many people have been able to go into the New York Stock Exchange as a member of the public, because it's been closed to the public for almost 20 years, not only to be allowed in, to spend a week there, speak to everyone there, and then also connect with all of them, and then film inside the New York Stock Exchange and bring our own camera equipment, which had to go through anti-terrorism checks and make sure the Bluetooth mics, well, they didn't allow anything Bluetooth or wireless because it would infringe with their security. But like, how epic is that I got to go inside the New York Stock Exchange and film a podcast roundtable and share it with the world? Epic stuff. It's not about money. It's about fulfillment. And fulfillment is in growing, building empires, and sharing. This is what fulfillment is. And as a byproduct, by the way, if you share a lot of value and you build a huge empire, things will come back to you. The law of reciprocity, that's how the universe works. You give first, and things come back. So I can delay that gratification because I know things will come back. And especially because I'm not chasing the money, it's even better. But the reflection for me is, I don't think I'll ever retire, despite what I used to think. Like if I made a certain amount of money, I'm done. I'm going to chill and live life. It's not how we are wired. Me and you watching this type of video, you are not wired in that way. I hate to break it to you, or I think it's a good thing, and now reflecting on it, I also realized doing nothing will never lead to, enjoying and pursuing happiness and the freedoms and the fruits that life has to offer will not lead to complete peace, because it will not lead to fulfillment, because you're not growing and chasing and pursuing and building and the character that we are in the video game. If we're not elevating our stats, if we're not improving each form of that, we're not life maxing, we're not experiencing the best version of ourselves, and we're going to be missing a key element of fulfillment. This has been a big takeaway for me for this trip, where I got to experience the best of the best in Europe and make more money than I have this year in my whole life, and work less in certain areas than I ever have. I worked with leverage, and I worked with only things that I'm good at, and everything else I hired for. And my trading evolved, which you guys have seen that journey in the last 2 years, especially in the last 6 months, how that's evolved with my profit-taking systems, my dynamic sizing, my utilizing my investments with my portfolio, active trading with passive trading, or your investments, and this is the path that I chose, and these are the lessons I'm learning, and I've been able to do a lot in the last few years. And my growth in life has not been linear, it's been exponential, and yours will be the same if you pick a niche and you stick at it and you grow in one dimension. You're not bouncing around, you're not getting distracted to try other things out. You just dominate in one field. You will get congruency because things will align and things will go exponential. I've met a lot of people with wealth in my life. What I realized is I'm a normal person, they're a normal person. They just had a vision. They just had the tenacity and the consistency to chase their vision and break any limiting belief and give it time. And you are no different. If you have a vision and you chase it with tenacity and consistency and you give it time and you persevere and never give up, you and I can do the same. Take care, everyone. And as you always know, a restricted trader is a profitable trader.